up due for my next infusion of Briumvi. How's it going? Briumvi was not for me. And let me just first start off always by saying that everybody's experiences are different. This is just my personal experience with Briumvi, and it was not very good. The infusions themselves weren't bad. It was just the aftermath. So about the same day of infusion number 1, I broke out with a rash all over my neck. Just extreme itchiness, and it was kind of one of those itches where you couldn't really satisfy the itch. The itch felt like it was coming from within. On top of getting infusions of steroids every other month, literally, no joke, like every 2 months I was getting infusions of Solumedrol. The process of infusions themselves were not bad. Then I had a couple of weeks of feeling okay-ish, and this is still within the first month, but then I ended up getting sick with COVID about 3 weeks in. So that definitely took me out. By November, so by the second month, I was completely bedridden. I had, like I said before, extreme fatigue, only this time it was like times a million. I couldn't get out of bed, had extreme weakness in my arms and legs. I already have chronic pain anyway. That's just part of the damage that I have because of the MS, but the chronic pain was just tenfold. It was unbearable. I had to do all the things that I possibly could to minimize the chronic pain that I was in. I just if you know chronic pain, it's hard to explain, but it's like it's in your bones. It literally feels like bone pain. And it just, again, with the weakness and the fatigue. And then also what was different this time too was flu-like symptoms. So I was feeling very nauseated. There were a couple times where I would wake up in the morning where I actually would throw up. I thought that there's absolutely no way that I can live my life like this. My husband was doing renovations to the house, and I just couldn't function. I felt like I couldn't contribute to any of the renovating. Just having a hard time even getting ready for the holidays that were up and coming, and just completely bedridden, in pain, weak, tired. All of the symptoms that MS has already brought onto me in the last 4 years had come back to me tenfold. Now we're in December. We had gotten through Thanksgiving, which was completely miserable. And I just knew I needed to make some changes. So I decided to hit the gym really hard. Being 3.5 years into having MS at this point, I know how important it is that diet and exercise contributes a huge factor to maintaining your symptoms and just overall MS maintenance. Once winter break came around, I had a harder time getting into the gym. And on top of that, I had to do Christmas shopping. And so instantly, within 2 weeks before Christmas, I started feeling horrible again. I was watching what I was eating and doing really good there, and doing some meditation and yoga at home, and started feeling better again. The only thing is that my depression was absolutely through the roof. And I don't think depression is talked about enough when it comes to MS, but or just in general, really. You know, it's being talked about more, but it's still such a taboo topic to even want to bring up to family members and friends, and sometimes even your doctor. So I decided to talk to my healthcare provider about getting back on an antidepressant that I was on when I was first diagnosed. And it helped. It definitely helped. I started feeling better mentally, started kind of coming around. My insomnia gets affected really bad, which I've always had insomnia anyway, and especially now being diagnosed with MS, it's been the worst that it's ever been. But when I throw any type of SSRI in there, any type of antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, unless it's like a downer that just knocks you out, I'm up. So what happens when you don't get sleep? All of those MS symptoms start coming right back. So at this point, I finally got in with my neurologist and was boo-hooing and said, what the F? rather than words of encouragement, the neurologist decided to tell me that it's not the Briumvi, that it's MS. I just froze for a minute. Fog. I'm getting a little fatigued already. But yeah, she said that it's not the Briumvi, that it's just my MS, and that if Briumvi doesn't work out for me, that she would probably consider taking me off a B-cell depleter altogether. And we started talking about Mavenclad. She said you need to do one more full round of Briumvi, which is coming up here the first week of March. And I just went home bawling my eyes out. Prior to seeing the neurologist that prescribed me the Briumvi, I was seeing another neurologist that actually ended up leaving the clinic that I was going to, which is an MS specialty clinic. And I just thought, okay, after seeing this last neurologist, and she's telling me that I absolutely still need one more full round of Briumvi, and I was so scared and thinking, oh my gosh, this is insane. I don't want to do it. So I tracked down a previous neurologist that I actually was seeing before that had left this clinic, and it was like everything kind of fell in line how it was supposed to be. Like everything that was meant to be, I felt like it just all laid out perfectly. So I get in with this neurologist, and he says, well, hey, how you doing? It was such a relief to see him. And he told me, for one, that Briumvi is more of a potent drug, that it is a Me Too drug, meaning that it does work the same way as rituximab, Kisempta, Ocrevus, anything that depletes the B cell, but it is just more on the potent side. I can barely walk at this point. Both of my eyes hurt. I'm weak. I can barely do carpool, barely wake up. I'll spare the details. MS fucking sucks. Okay, it does. I told him, I said, ever since I got this Briumvi, all of these different symptoms have come back. So like, the hives and the itching and the intense pain and the fatigue and all of the things, and my mobility. The biggest thing is my mobility. So we started talking about Kisempta, which is another B-cell depleter. However, it works in a different way, where you get the same medicine with a lower loading dose, and you get it once a month instead of getting hit with these big, huge doses every 6 months like I do. I just have a hard time with medicines in general. You just have to really self-advocate, and you have to really, really take care of yourself in order for it to really get better. So I've heard people say, I joined the Briumvi support groups and, was trying to connect with as many people as possible that were on Briumvi. And I hear more good things about Briumvi than I do bad. So I've heard people say that Briumvi has been a miracle drug for them. It's just not for me. We just decided that Kisempta is the way to go. So I've already received the Kisempta. I've already started the Kisempta. So I can make another video about how that process is going. The injection itself was a little nerve-wracking at first. But I've done self-injections before, being on Copaxone for 5 months, almost 6 months. But it is still a little nerve-wracking giving yourself a shot, I'm not gonna lie. I think what's helped me feel the best within this last month alone is just how hard I've been hitting it at the gym. And I'm not talking about going to the gym and, working out like a crazy person. I mean, for me, hitting it hard means going every day, at least 3 days a week. Wishing everybody all the best. I don't want to scare anybody by saying Briumvi sucks, because it sucked for me. Doesn't mean that it's gonna suck for you. Find what works for you, and I wish you all the best.